A vehicle's braking system is one of the most important safety components. In drum brake systems, the brake shoe is a critical part responsible for generating braking force. In this video, Advix, a global brake system supplier, will explain brake shoe fundamentals in an easy-to-understand manner, covering proper replacement procedures, service tips, and important precautions for maintenance and installation. This is an Advix brake shoe. Leveraging our expertise and experience as an OEM supplier, it has been designed to provide consistent braking performance and outstanding durability. We will guide you through the replacement procedure using this product, explaining each step in accordance with actual service procedures. First, park the vehicle on a flat, level surface. Place the gear selector in parking position and fully release the parking brake. Leaving the parking brake engaged will cause the brake shoes to remain in contact with the drum, making removal of the brake drum difficult or impossible. Next, lift the vehicle using a jack. Make sure the jack is properly positioned at the specified jacking point and verify that the vehicle is securely supported and stable before proceeding. Next, use a lug wrench to loosen the lug nuts. Remove the wheel carefully, taking care to avoid injury from falling parts or pinched fingers. Once the wheel has been removed, begin by inspecting the brake drum. Carefully check for cracks, distortion, abnormal wear, and corrosion or seizure that could affect braking performance or serviceability. After verifying that the parking brake is completely released, remove the brake drum. If the drum is stuck due to corrosion or seizure, carefully loosen it by lightly tapping the drum or using the designated service hole bolts. Proceed with the brake shoe removal process. Remove the brake shoes in sequence, starting with the front-facing shoe and then the rear-facing shoe. Using a tension spring tool, disconnect the brake strut from the shoe return spring. As the spring is under load, exercise caution during removal to prevent components from snapping free or being ejected unexpectedly. Next, remove the hold-down spring assembly. Using a brake shoe hold-down spring tool, remove the retaining cup, spring, and pin in sequence. Be sure to keep the removed components organized for reassembly. Remove the front-facing brake shoe. As you remove the shoe, be careful to retain the lower return spring attached to it, as it can easily become detached or misplaced during the procedure. Using the brake shoe hold-down spring tool, remove the rear hold-down spring assembly in the same manner as on the front side. Because the front-facing brake shoe has already been removed, the spring tension on the rear side is reduced, making the removal process safer and easier. Remove the rear-facing brake shoe, then use a dedicated parking brake lever tool to disconnect the parking brake cable from the parking brake lever. Exercise caution throughout the procedure to avoid damaging the cable and handle all components carefully during removal. After the brake shoes have been removed, perform a thorough cleaning and inspection of the brake assembly. Clean the inner surface of the brake drum with brake cleaner to remove dust and contaminants. Then carefully inspect all components for brake fluid leaks, abnormal wear, and any signs of damage that could affect braking performance. Next, transfer the reusable small components to the new brake shoe. First, remove the left-hand adjuster lever and the adjuster lever spring from the old brake shoe. As these components will be reused, remove them carefully while inspecting for any signs of deformation, wear, or damage. Next, clean the adjuster lever and spring with brake cleaner. Contamination or sticking caused by dirt and corrosion can impair the operation of the adjuster mechanism. Therefore, pay particular attention to the moving parts and ensure that all components are thoroughly cleaned before reassembly. After cleaning, install the left-hand adjuster lever and spring onto the new brake shoe. Carefully confirm that the lever is installed in the correct position and that the spring is properly engaged at the specified mounting points to ensure correct operation of the adjuster mechanism. We will now proceed with the brake shoe installation process. Begin by applying genuine Toyota non-melt lubricant to the brake shoe contact areas on the backing plate. Next, use a dedicated parking brake lever tool to connect the parking brake cable. Then install the rear-facing brake shoe. Install the brake shoes in sequence, beginning with the rear-facing shoe and then the front-facing shoe. Since the rear-facing shoe is linked to the parking brake cable, positioning and securing it first facilitates proper alignment of the front-facing shoe and improves the accuracy of strut and adjuster installation. Furthermore, applying spring tension at the final stage helps prevent components from snapping out of place and reduces the risk of incorrect assembly, contributing to a safer installation process. Install the rear hold-down spring assembly. Fit the pin, spring, and retaining cup in the proper order. Then confirm that the brake shoe is securely held in position and able to move correctly on the backing plate. At this stage, with the front-facing brake shoe not yet installed, temporarily install the rear brake strut assembly. Connect the upper sides of the brake shoe securely using the return spring. Ensure that the spring is properly attached to the rear-facing brake shoe and correctly engaged in the designated mounting holes. Incorrect spring installation may lead to improper brake operation. At this point, the reference position of the rear assembly has been established, allowing the front-facing brake shoe to be installed in the correct position. Install the front hold-down spring assembly, then attach the tension spring, ensuring that it is engaged in the correct mounting holes. Finally, use a tension spring tool to install the rear brake strut assembly onto the front brake shoe. Once you have confirmed that the strut is properly seated against the brake shoe and that there is no excessive play or looseness, carefully release the tool. Take care to apply the appropriate amount of force during installation, as excessive force may damage or deform the spring. Inspect the overall assembly, including the springs, lever, strut, adjuster, and related components. Carefully verify that all parts have been installed according to the specified procedure and that there are no issues with component orientation, engagement, or fitment. At this stage, adjust the clearance. First, install the brake drum and rotate it 2 or 3 times in both directions to check the clearance and verify whether the brake shoes are making contact. If there is no contact, use a brake shoe adjustment tool or a flat blade screwdriver to rotate the adjuster through the service hole in the backing plate. Gradually expand the brake shoes until a slight resistance is felt when the drum is rotated again. Next, hold the adjuster lever in place and, using a second tool, rotate the adjuster in the opposite direction to retract the brake shoes slightly. Once the brake shoes no longer contact the drum, rotate the adjuster back an additional half turn to achieve the proper clearance. As a final check, the brake drum should rotate smoothly with only a slight amount of drag. Install the rear wheel, mount the wheel, and hand tighten the wheel nuts in a crisscross pattern. Then use an impact wrench or a cross wrench to tighten them to the specified torque. Tightening the wheel nuts evenly helps prevent wheel misalignment and vibration. After lowering the vehicle, apply the brake pedal several times and verify the operation of both the parking brake and the service brake. Confirm that the brakes operate normally and that there are no abnormal noises. Finally, perform a low-speed road test. Check the vehicle's braking performance. Make sure that there is no brake drag or any abnormal noises. If there are no issues, the brake shoe replacement has been completed successfully. To ensure that the braking system delivers its best performance, always follow the proper maintenance procedures and replace your brake shoes as shown in this video.